Hello, my dear human family, and welcome to another video update here. And I wanted to give you a little bit of an insight into what's going on here right now because things are constantly maneuvering and changing. And it's only since 2 days ago that I've got a clear picture of what's going to happen next, and I had to structure some things towards that aim. And I'll be going a little bit into that. And obviously, most of it I'll leave out because this is for you to find out what's going to happen next. So I'll let you in on the basics, okay? And you'll see the end result in the coming weeks and months. So I wanted to start at the beginning to say sorry and excuse myself. I deeply apologize that I am not able to give you a Navigating the Matrix with Natural Law Principle episode due to the fact that I just don't get to it. And I'll explain what I'm doing right now because it really takes a lot of effort and a lot of work to put together an episode of Navigating the Matrix because it's basically a whole presentation. And I structure them to give people a deep insight into things the way I see them, and where I have a strong feeling that people can get the most benefit of. So it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And unfortunately, I didn't get to do it last week. I've started to put the pictures together. Still takes time, but the last video I've done gives you an insight into where I'm going with the 7. It's interesting that it's episode 7 which has taken me so long, but when I started Navigating the Matrix with Natural Law Principles series, that was during the coronavirus lockdown. So I have not had as much time as then because I'm working continuously to not have the second wave hit, or form, as I'll explain, form a foundation of how to move forward and get away from the paranoia that's happening a lot these days, and the imposition of government and the imposition of the ruling class. Well, I don't call them an elite, I call them a kakistocracy, as I said in my interview with the Age of Truth. So I'm working continuously on that, and it takes a lot of studying, it takes a lot of reading, and it takes a lot of distillation of information, of knowledge. So that's what my being does. That's what I'm here to do, to extract the most important of information towards my goal, which is freedom. And what is Navigating the Matrix with Natural Law Principles, episode 7, all about? 7 from heaven. And when you take the T out of my name, Stephen, it's also in my name, funnily enough. Something I've realized. So it's about this aspect, and I'll be delving deep into this subject. And it'll be really profound, as I've experienced. It is taking me a lot of time because I think this subject is just huge and profound, and I'm trying to distill as much as possible because from my point of view, when we can understand the working dynamics of the control system, become aware of it, and act accordingly in our life, then we can free ourselves of that control. And that's the way I think one comes to freedom, by understanding how we are unfree and how we perpetuate our state of being perceiving that we have owners, basically. and to get out of that and to manifest freedom with an understanding of the dynamics. So in episode 7, the main topic will be that the basis for control and the most fundamental aspect of any control system, be that National Socialism or communism or technocracy, which is the major topic right now as we're being prepared to move into the technocratic era, the digital age. All of these systems of control depend on the control of perception. So the control of our perception is of the most fundamental importance, and that's what I'll delve into in a deep way in episode 7. So, and also I'm going to probably record that episode with a new microphone and possibly also with a new camera, so the quality will also be elevated, and there's something to look forward to right now. So, what have I been up to? Well, when it comes to what I'm doing right now, it's basically we are building a movement here in Austria, and it's all across the country, but the center of the movement, which meets regularly every Friday, is in my hometown in Linz in Austria. And that's where I've been speaking every week except 2-3 times. And we're approaching the 12th week now. And it's transformed away from any sort of demonstration, because we're not here to demonstrate anything, but they transformed it towards a festival for freedom. And there's some great speakers there, and I go there regularly because there is a very much a family atmosphere going on there, and it's beautiful. And in my estimate, what's going on there, the significance of this, because I've never been someone who really goes on to demonstrations and whatever. I did that, in my early days of my awakening. But I saw pretty quickly that how this didn't make any difference, really. And you go home and then you have sort of like this feeling, oh yeah, I gave my voice, towards the good. But nothing ever really came from it. And the reason for that, I think, is the aspect of momentum. Momentum is crucial in everything that we do. This is also a natural law principle, because it is about our dedication towards a cause, and it takes long-term thinking, long-term strategy, and long-term commitment to really make a difference in this world. And that's why it's important to have that warrior spirit in one, and understand the art of war by Lao Tzu, sorry, and guerrilla warfare tactics. It's very important, because we're on the chessboard. It's important to make strategic moves and to contemplate moves and to not just do one action and just give up after some time. It takes momentum. That momentum builds up, because the most important is to understand that in the beginning momentum is difficult, okay, to get going properly, because we are used to stay in our comfort zone of being comfortable. That's how we've been culturally conditioned, to be. And yeah, a lot of people tend to want that comfort and to stay safe and have the state as your savior, and that's why they're all about security, most of the people, of the so-called masses, of the cult, of our culture. They want to be safe because they're in their safe zone and they don't want to go out of that comfort zone, and that's where the magic happens. This is what I learned by George Cavasilis, where he talked about the fishbowl syndrome. So that's your comfort zone, like a fish in a fishbowl. But the magic happens outside of that comfort zone. That's the trick. And that's where the magic happens. So the most difficult is to start momentum and then to keep at it. That's why it's important to always rather walk small steps towards any particular goal. And even if they are the smallest steps imaginable, it could be a phone call, it could be whatever, any small step towards your goal is a step forward. And it's the continuation of steps that build up the momentum, because you're creating action in the outside world. And by creating action, there is always a reaction also in form of resistance. And the more often you overcome that resistance, the more power flows into your action, towards the next action, the next action. And once you're in momentum stage, then things start to flow. So this is what happened since, I think the first demonstration was at the end of April, and I'm speaking again in 2 days there, and it is momentum that has been created, because you're taking action in the real world and in the outside world, and thinking about new actions to take. And this is what I'm working on right now, is to transform that momentum from the festival of freedom and transform it into something new. And this is all part of Project 2020. Taking the planet back. Big task, huh? And I was talking about taking small steps, wasn't I? But that doesn't mean that you limit your aim and your goal. Why make any limitation? I could be talking about taking my country back. The thing is, I don't believe in the concept of a country. All I see is a human family. What I see is a united human family. And the only thing that prevents us from being united are mind viruses in our brain and belief systems that don't stand up to scrutiny and are not rooted foundationally to truth. That's what's preventing us. And only we ourselves can live that harmony. And that's what's happening here. Project 2020 is about taking the planet back. And that's what I'm doing. That is my focus when I get up in the morning. And right now I'm in a study phase, doing my homework. I'm reading books. I'm also I'm writing down notes of what I'm reading, of what I'm watching, and then I distill the most important information. So I've got summaries that I write then, and that's how I embody the information. And then I try to live by that information. And there's 3 phases of Project 2020 that I have in mind. And the first one is in written form to have all the distillation of information documented. The second part is a press conference, which is going to be a series of press conferences. And the third part of it is going to be interviews and presentations on the subject matters that will be discussed. And the press conference that I'm organizing right now is about the main topic. It's crystallized over the months, and I can summarize it in one single word of what this press conference is all about, and it's about sovereignty. It's about many other things too, but the underlying motivation and the underlying theme is sovereignty. And what sovereignty contains, what makes, what creates sovereignty, or a sovereign power, as I would say, within the individual expression of consciousness, of energy, as a human being on this planet. And also, what are the dynamics that prevent us from acting sovereign? And what is there to do, which is the deconstruction of what prevents sovereignty. And that's also going to be a major theme of the press conference. That is the aspect of deconstructing the control system. Because one of the foundational aspects of this control system is the aspect of compartmentalization, which is that everything in the system is structured. So everyone working for the system in whatever capacity. It could be in a children's home as a social worker, and you only know what you need to know to do your job. It could be as a teacher in the school, and you only know what you need to know to do your job. It could be as a headmaster in a school. You only know what you need to know in your job. It could be a journalist in the media. You only know what you need to know to do your job. This could be a doctor in medicine who only needs to know to do his job. It could be a businessman. It could be whatever in banking. It could be a politician in politics. You only know what you need to know to do your job. Now, what happens when you are unknowingly part of a criminal agenda? When you are part of criminal activity? And there comes in the crucial aspect of liability, which is responsibility, that you're liable for your actions. And it's liability that is the self-regulating mechanism of a system. And if there is no liability, then there is criminality. And most people working in the system have no clue what they are really a part of and to which end they are working toward. So, from my point of understanding and from my analysis, it is important to put together the big picture of where all of the agendas are leading, which is basically one agenda. Where is it leading toward? And to just share that knowledge and how we got to this situation. And that's why it's so important to distill information, because there is a lot of information, obviously, as you may well know. That's why I'm focusing on the most important aspects, and really it all deals with the deconstruction of the system of control that we find ourselves in. And that could then be used to stop all of the agendas of slavery and the dehumanizing agendas and the genocidal agendas, which is what we're involved in. So, to sum it all up, the whole system's compartmentalized. It's all differentiated into whole different compartments where no one knows what they're a part of. They're only a cog in the machine. And the solution to that is, and this is basic mathematics, compartmentalization is the differentiation process, and you go the other way. The inverse operation of differentiation is integration. So you integrate all of the separate components that have been separated towards a whole, so the whole can be seen. And with my process that I'm taking and the way I'm structuring Project 2020, I'm not in conflict with anyone. I'm not attacking anyone. So there goes the understanding that if I don't exert pressure on others, I don't get pressure back, or as little as possible. Because what I'm basically shining the light on is the core dynamics of what's driving this agenda, and shine the light there. Shine the light that all the satanic agendas stop, and that we heal the planet by healing the satanic layer and the satanic foundation of this control system. Because Satanism is, in actual fact, all about mind control, and it is about the control of every human being and also the control of the entire natural world. And we've reached a stage now with the use of artificial intelligence and other futuristic technologies that are intended to be used as technology not for the betterment of humanity and the the best for the planet, but for purposes of control. And actually a creation of an artificial reality, a technological sub-reality that is at war with the natural world. And that needs to stop, because otherwise we destroy ourselves and we destroy all of nature and everyone we are one with, the animal kingdom, the plants and everything. And we have a responsibility as human beings to stop that from happening. The problem is a satanic cult that has created a satanic system. Which is going to lead us in a technological control system and a technologically controlled reality. A satanic system is the problem. It's a system that runs in our minds also, which is the workings of the ego. The ego is satanic. Me. There's lots more to get into, which I'll be doing in episode 7 of Navigating the Matrix. And the best way to solve a problem is by solving the cause of the problem, because then the problem ceases to exist. So there can be so many problems in the world on the symptom level, but the trick is to extrapolate it and to understand the causal level of the problem. And then the problem ceases to exist. And that's why we all have a responsibility in doing that. And for me, basically, the problem is our belief systems. And the basic belief in authority. And that we don't live according to natural law, and that we don't have the self-confidence to declare ourselves as sovereign beings and not have a middleman between ourselves and source. That for me is the problem. So we need to act with self-responsibility, with self-love toward ourselves and toward our environment with all the beings. Because if we are upset by the behaviors of others, well, maybe they're mirroring something to us. Or when we don't like certain people and we just think, I don't want to have anything to do with them because they're horrible people, then don't have anything to do with them. So we all have a responsibility in exposing the satanic death cult, because that's the cult of death, and it would lead to death for all of us and for the natural world if nothing intervenes. And forget about the masses, the rest of the world, the sheep wearing their face nappy, because it's irrelevant. They are irrelevant, and it's about being in a state of sovereignty yourself and acting accordingly. And the real dynamics is, because I hear this so often, I hear this so often, it's ridiculous. I hear it everywhere. Oh, we only need to wake up the masses, and the masses should wake up, and then we're gonna make a difference. No. Listen to geniuses like Leonardo da Vinci, who said the following, and I'm paraphrasing. And that's the real dynamics in this world. He said, "Life is pretty simple. You do some things work, some things don't. You do more of what works, and other people quickly copy it. The trick is the doing something else. And here we've got one circle with the fishbowl syndrome in this realm of comfort zone. The fish in the fishbowl. Oh, it's so comfortable. Oh, it's still oh yeah, I only need to wear a mask when I go to the supermarket and when I take public transport. It's still comfortable. But the magic is what happens outside of that fishbowl. So, I challenge you to challenge yourself. Go one step at a time, and you can do it. So I wanted to give you a little bit of an update here. What's going on over at my station. And I thank you very much for being a part of this community. I won't bother with asking for donations or become a Patreon supporter. that doesn't really work. So I'm just doing what I can do, and I know I'll be taken care of. So thank you for your time and attention. Much love to you, and all the best. We are doing this. We are doing this. Alright, take care.